It's the Underpowered Hour. On this week's show, we bring you a recap of the 2025 ReBelle Rally with Liza and Jenna fresh off the track. And now, without further delay, here's the show. Welcome to the Underpowered Hour. I'm Steve Beres, mild-mannered television executive by day and Land Rover collector by night. You can find out more about our cars and what we're working on at theberescollection.com or follow us on Instagram at theberescollection. I'm joined, as always, by my good friend, Ike Goss.
Thank you to everyone joining us today.
I'm the recovery gear to Steven's roadside assistance. I'm the heavy rattling bag of podcasting, Ike Goss.
I own and operate Pangolin 4x4 in Springfield, Oregon, where we live and breathe Land Rovers. Check us out online on Facebook, Instagram at Pangolin 4x4. Let's get started.
All right, Ike and Jenna and Liza, we're back for the fourth annual ReBelle Rally Recap show. Hotly anticipated this week, as Brody and I have been doing the daily updates and have had nothing but poorly drawn conclusions and very vague ideas of what maybe is going on. We have some hypotheses. Some sounded like they landed near the mark, others completely off. So
Yes, we're going to debunk a few myths today, and we're going to fill you in on the behind the scenes, what actually happened.
I can't wait.
But you guys did such a good job of, guessing as to what the heck was going on out there.
Guessing.
And there was no consultation before we went off the grid that you were going to do a daily show. And I loved it. I thought it was great. We listened to it all the way home this afternoon.
Excellent. So you had a sense of what you did that week then. I'm glad that you got the recap.
Yeah.
It was a good refresher.
Well, absolutely fantastic performance this year. It looked not just difficult, but it had a myriad of challenges. There was wind. There was water. There was,
mud.
Potentially... Definitely some mud, and it seems as though the Land Rover teams found that mud early and often. It also looked like it was one day longer and a lot more distance covered, I think, than you guys have ever done before. So,
especially if you don't go the intended route,
right? Which we'll talk. Yeah. We'll get into that. But congratulations, welcome home. As always, it's good to have you back, and we can't wait to start demystifying some of the dot controversy that came up this week. So let's start here, though. Let's start with each one of you. What was the most memorable thing this year? Just to start us off on like a positive note, what was something where you're like, oh man, this is why we come out here and do this? And I imagine part of that is Drew Deckman's taco night. But other than that, what'd you guys think?
We had a good redemption day where we had a really cool place that we wanted to visit that we missed out on before. And so it was really great to get to go back there.
Yeah.
Very nice.
I would say the highlight for me was coming back out here and being reminded of why we rebel, why we love to do this. We had so much fun in the car this year.
Yeah.
And we laughed every day, and we were up against the clock every day, and the adrenaline was pumping.
And we made good choices. We just
we felt good about our choices.
It was always, we were right on that balance of risk and reward. And there was something about the adrenaline that we really thrived on, maybe in a addictive way. But it was awesome. We were just like, go. And we were really at one point accurate that
my internal monologue is all the time. Just all the time.
Wow. Fantastic. It looked like it was a totally different kind of rally this year, just given the difficulty, the terrain, some on purpose. Some of the routes that Emily planned looked like they were a little more aggressive. And then, of course, there was a quick reshaping of the desert once before you started, and then right in the middle of the competition.
Yeah, Mother Nature decided to play a more prominent role a couple of days this year, and that was definitely fun. We can talk some more about that.
All right, well, let's get into it. Let's talk about, and we did briefly talk to Ralph about Tech Inspection Day. We got the download. We know that basically no Land Rover team and or some staff members would have made it out onto the course at all without Ralph being there to put their cars back together for them, or at least supervise the reassembly of their cars. So again, a sponsor to the Land Rover community, not just our individual team, but
and even before we got to tech inspection, we actually were able to finally fulfill a dream we've had for years. I'm able to bring all the Land Rover teams together for breakfast at Mammoth Coffee Roasting.
I thought you were going to say have a working Terra trip. I thought that was... That's also a dream.
We had 2 working Terra trips this year.
Unheard of. But all the Land Rover teams came together to have a sort of kickoff, which is awesome. I mean, what's more Land Rover community than getting all the competitors together into one place so that Ralph can fix all their cars?
Close, but not quite. But want to make a big shout out to Defender Traders Diego, who sponsored that breakfast. And it was really nice for the teams to come together, and we had coffee, and Mammoth Coffee Roasting makes these enormous, they call them Mammoth donuts, and they're bigger than my head. And they made a bunch of donuts for us, and we all had breakfast and coffee before we had to get back to town for the
tech inspection.
Yeah, it was a great morning. It was a good way to bond with the other teams and for them to get to know each other. And so, just a really good way to sort of set the tone for the week.
Because during the rally, we don't always get to spend that time. We've been on the rally now. This is our 4th year. And until that breakfast, we really hadn't spent a lot of time with Hohen and Saxton, for example.
Sure.
It always felt a little bit like a mist. We're just ships in the night. So it was really cool to just sit and have breakfast with them and chat with them and get to know them a little better, and all of the other Land Rover teams.
Good opportunity to sabotage their vehicles too while they're eating snacks.
Right. That's a good point. Yeah. Well, Ike, you don't need to worry about that. It's they're self-sabotaging.
They self-sabotage. Exactly.
Yes, no problem.
In fact, even at the coffee shop, the really dear to us NAS Defender 110.
Yeah.
Right after we finished breakfast, we were trying to line up for a photo, and they couldn't get it started, and they couldn't figure out why. And finally, they realized it was just out of gas. And so they got Mammoth Coffee Roasting as a sponsor, because the Mammoth Coffee Roasting owner had a Rotopacks of fuel on the side of his Jeep in the parking lot, and so he hooked him up so they could get to tech inspection.
Nice. Well, I have to say, it's notoriously easy to not know that you're out of gas in a NAS Defender. I've been out of gas in that car more than any other car I own, maybe. But what a better way to start off a Land Rover event than being out of gas, too. That's
it was very perfect.
Appropriate.
But then tech inspection was great. We had no problems. You heard about the other teams.
Yes.
We got our vests and put all our sponsor stuff on them. Yes. We had a really nice time with Ralph and Kathleen. It was so great to have them out there. They had the time of their life.
I was going to say, how close was Kathleen to stowing away in the back of your vehicle? It seems every time I talk to her, she is now so addicted to this. Yeah, she's ready to go.
All of them are. And with Kathleen, she just needs the tiniest little nudge, and she will sign up for next year, I think. She just needs a good partner, and she needs a plan, but she's this close.
There you go. If you know anyone looking to do the ReBelle, preferably in Virginia, but it doesn't matter, you can give Sarah Collarworks a call and sign up Kathleen. There you go. I'm ready to go.
So and then the next day we headed up the mountain, and it was really neat. Ralph and Kathleen could be there when we were getting our checkpoints for Prologue Day, and all the ReBelles are plotting on tables, and everybody's getting their cars ready and have their start time. And I was able to walk them through how that process works.
And we had an enduro to do too. We had timed enduros.
Exactly. So Jenna's doing all the math, and I'm plotting, and we're helping rookies with their stuff, because the rookies all... it's like when it gets really real for them, right? And
there were some really successful rookies this year, right?
There was a great batch of rookies. There was a really tough field this year, so kudos to the rookies who came in, and Emily's always making the game a little harder. She's getting creative with what to change about it so that the top teams aren't getting complacent or bored. And every time she makes one of those changes, the poor rookies are like, they're not just learning the game, they're learning the game plus the 10 expansion packs that have been added to it, right?
Right.
So, kudos to them for figuring it out and rolling with the punches, because it's a tough game to learn.
Yeah, for sure. Well, let's talk about Prologue Day. So great scoring on Prologue Day. You guys did an excellent job. 1 point off the total amount of points available for the day. I feel like I'm still in daily recap.
You know that. I actually don't
Yeah, I
even
don't remember
remember
that.
Prologue Day.
Oh,
I got to
have
be
it.
honest with you.
I have it all laid out here for us. So I can
Excellent.
give you a point by point. We built a special kind of spreadsheet for Brody and I to keep track of the segments of the day and what the points were at those days and the checkpoints and things. So
That's
we can go
funny.
through all that.
That's funny.
Totally unnecessary, but we really got into it. So yeah, let's talk about Prologue Day. So you had a little mix of everything that day. How did you feel? How was the car shaking down, etc.?
It was great.
Yeah.
Prologue Day is always fun because it's that last chance to sort of shake off the cobwebs. There's very low consequences to, wide missing something. So you go out there and you're like, okay,
Let's do it.
all right, let's
try
do it.
Yeah.
Let's
And it was interesting this year compared to the other years that we have competed. Prologue Day was actually much shorter.
Okay.
So apparently initially when they started the rally, there was no Prologue Day. And then eventually they introduced it, ended up getting to be basically a whole day, right?
Yeah, right.
The previous 3 years we've competed, it's an entire day of checkpoint hunting, maybe a tiny bit shorter than a normal day.
Right.
But
It
still
was
a
like 6
full
hours
day.
instead of 10. But
Yeah,
it was,
sure.
But still a lot. And you're already at base camp and you're already out there. This year they did it differently where we had rally school in the morning and then Prologue was the transit out to base camp 1.
Right,
And so
right.
it was shorter. You got just a taste of everything. You do the timed enduro. We always do a timed enduro on Prologue because that's how they see the starting order. The next thing else is really kind of just rehearsal. And so they gave a smattering of just a handful of checkpoints along the way. And then an example of a road book. So where you're just following the turn by turns
Yep.
to get from point A to point B. And then we had the timed enduro.
And we were, Base Camp 1 was really close to Silver Peak, Nevada, which listeners may remember the spoof advert that Linus recorded after the famous Christmas trip of 2022 that
Was
you
it
guys
22?
took out to that area. And we, yeah.
Right, we should repost that.
We're going to
We
repost
should.
that.
We
Yeah,
should.
we'll repost that this week so that
We'll
everybody
share
can
it.
enjoy Linus and Maddie's pitch video for Silver Peak, Nevada, which I believe they are using the Chamber of Commerce there. They reached out and have been using that ever since. So, well, fantastic. So felt great about Prologue Day. You got to near Silver Peak, Nevada, set up the tents for the first time. How was it being back in the tent?
It was great. I want to say we're very good at like prepping all of our stuff in advance and going out on the rally. And we don't like to introduce new things. We like to have, it's clothes that we've worn before. It's food that we've eaten before. Stuff that we've done before.
Gross.
Yeah, right.
You know
Yeah,
what I mean.
that's-
You know what
yeah.
I mean, right? Don't introduce too many new things. Except the one thing that we didn't do this year.
Sounds terrible.
Oh, God.
Okay, sorry.
Dirty underwear and
Yeah. It's just,
green
it's still
food.
pre-chew food from last year.
We're so tired. This is not the first time we're going to laugh this hard. But anyways, the one thing that we did not do this year was open up our tents.
Oh,
I don't think we had opened up our tents since maybe last.
Oh, no.
It was fine. It's
a little
been so much
sand.
worse. But we opened it up and I'm like, I think there's an entire dune worth of Glamis sand still
From
in
last
this.
time,
And
yeah.
from when we
Jolly
packed
cool.
up last year.
You really
Dead
painting
spiders.
a picture for future sponsors here. You really are.
that we sort of took for granted. But no, it was fine. It was fine. Actually, given the weather we had, our tents were fine.
Yeah, they did great. We had thought about getting new tents this year because the zippers are all real crunchy now and hard to zip. And
It
we've
might
used
be
them.
time next year.
Yeah.
Those $100 tents have served us well for
Well,
4.
there's not next year. There's the car next year.
True, it's true. For the future. Might be ready to
the
retire
future.
those tents.
Yes.
Yeah, that makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, we came in and Prologue Day was actually a good warm up and
Yeah.
it was nice to see the other teams in the tent
And get to base camp.
get
Yeah.
there and just get prepped for what ended up being a very long, very fulfilling week.
Yeah, so good sleep. Up early the next day for day 1, the official day, official first day, with a total of 211 points available on the day. And you guys 197 points for 93% of the total points
we had a
available
good
on
day.
the Dale. Fantastic first day. Looked like you nailed basically everything, took every X you could take, and save a couple blacks were really accurate. Like right on the nose. Didn't look like there was any false blues in there on day one.
There might have been, but I think we didn't get.
Yeah, we
got.
didn't get trapped by them. We were
Trapped, yeah.
We didn't get played.
we were feeling pretty good, and everybody thought that day one was really easy. It turned out that Emily Miller made that day really easy with some forethought, knowing that Team 155 was going to have a mechanical challenge that was going to slow them down.
Yes.
And if it were any other day on the rally, and if it were earlier in the day, it might have been a different story, but we were like 3 hours ahead of schedule.
We're so ahead of schedule.
And then the famous bolt that if anybody tuned into the live show, they interviewed us
the
about the
bolt.
the bolt in our that holds the rear shock to the knuckle that, you know.
What's the theory on the bolt? Why
I can tell you exactly.
What happened, Jenna?
So,
Inquiring minds do want to know about this bolt. This has been a heavily debated topic.
well, at the 11th hour before the rally, we swapped out the upper shock mounts. And we did that because Ralph was concerned that the ones that were on the truck might not be sturdy enough. So he sent us new ones and was like, if you have time, it'd be great to just swap these out. Turns out the ones that he had put on there before were way beefier than he remembered. And we probably did not need to swap them out because comparing them, they were all chonky.
Yeah.
But he was worried that they were this previous version and that they might have not been durable enough. So anyway, we swapped them out. And in that process, I used an Ugga to tighten the nut on the bolt.
An impact.
And
Gun. Yeah.
yeah, an impact. But apparently, I don't know, it just didn't quite oomph it on there enough. And I should have chased it with, some other, just a hand wrench of some sort. But so I think I did not get it tight enough. There was a little Loctite on it, but even still, it duffed. So it backed its way off somewhere in the desert around checkpoint
It was before
14.
13, 14,
It was
something like
14.
that.
At 14, we went back right as we were going by a safety official who was on course. We heard this like, we're like, I wonder what that noise is. And I got out and I looked, I didn't see anything. And I was like, I don't know. Let's just like, maybe there's just a rock or I don't know. And we went a little bit, it was just chuff. And I was like, I'm going to get out and look at this again. I was like, well, I think maybe just the fender liner had dropped a little. So I kind of pushed it. And then we kept going a little bit. And I was like,
And it was rotational,
it was
right?
definitely rotational. And it definitely was like the passenger rear. And we're like, what is that? So then we both got out, we took our helmets off and actually like looked closer. And then Liza actually noticed that the nut was missing and that the bolt had ooched its way out and was rubbing, the washer on the bolt was actually rubbing against the wheel weights.
Right.
So it was like just like
Balance
shaving the lead weight
wheels.
ever so slightly. So
by the end of the day, those weights were
very
polished.
shiny.
They were,
well, I mean, they were shaving. It was like a pencil shaving every time. So anywho, after that, well, at that point, we were like, okay, well, let's just see if we can just hammer this thing back in, right?
we didn't lose the bolt.
We didn't lose the bolt, just the
nut.
nut, and the bolt didn't break. So
Yeah, Ralph's theory was the bolt can't actually come out because the wheel's in the way. Is that true?
I don't
it seems
trust that.
like it's probably true unless you hit something,
Oh,
right?
right, of course.
And you have to
get
remember
it.
road.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're in the desert. So anyhow, I got out a couple of smacky things and just crawled under there and whapped it back in. And it was like, all right, well, it went back in. I feel like we can just keep going slow. We got
Just limp our
just
way
limp
home.
that way back into camp. We can still even go get the checkpoints that remain. We have time.
Yeah, it looks like you got
And-
everything behind.
Who needs a terror trip when this bolt backs itself out without fail like clockwork every 600 meters? We could have done the rest of the day just measuring out by when we heard the sound come
It was
back.
funny because every time after I'd hammer it in, I'd look at the terror trip and I'd be like, all right, it's at 0.43. I have till 1.03 and it's going to go again. And like clockwork, 1.03, choof, choof, choof. And so we'd hop back out, smack it back in.
But Jenna was the hero that day because every time I get out of the car, I have to like put my maps and my rulers and everything away, put the map on the dash, and it takes a minute, right? And Jenna was like, you stay, don't move. And so for 27 kilometers, Jenna got out every 600 meters and she'd get out of the car. She'd go around at the back. She'd get her tarp and her tools out of the back
It's a
door.
magic creeper.
Climb. Magic creeper. She'd climb under the car, magic creeper under, pound the bolt back in, magic creeper back out, put the magic creeper back in the back of the car, close the trunk, get in, drive 600 meters, do it all again for 27 meters.
Wow.
Here's a question. What do you guys carry in your toolkit or, quick repair stuff?
Hindsight, we probably could have come up with some sort of improvisation to like maybe keep the bolt on. Maybe we should have dug around. I think in our bin, we do have some hose clamps.
Yeah.
Maybe we should have tried a hose clamp. At the time, it just seemed we weren't sure how often we were going to have to smack the bolt in. Maybe it would stay, maybe it wouldn't.
Yeah.
And then after a while, it just became the routine and it was fine. And we're just going to keep powering through.
And like I said, day one was it was the easiest day Emily has ever given us in these 4 years.
Right.
And we actually had the time, so much so that we actually got back to base camp.
And still had to wait.
We still had 20 minutes before we could check in for base camp because we were early. So like I say, any other day on the rally, that would have been a day ruiner and we would have left points on the table. But instead, there we are, just chugging away every 600 meters. It ended up being fine. And we spent the evening, doing the
pulling the wheel off and tightening it back up.
We did it all ourselves.
Well,
I know you saw photos.
So magically, the mechanics, of course, I was like, do you, without incurring a penalty to us, do you have a random assortment of hardware like that I could rummage through? And they have this just like old toolbox that they bust out and it's just like old rusty bolts and nuts and random stuff, and so through and found one, and we didn't have
this
to
is a fine thread. Do you have a coarse thread?
It's
And
smaller. Yeah, I don't know. So we got one. It was great. It was quick and easy to get on
we
there.
checked all the bolts.
So ultimately a minor problem, but
very
a
minor.
major inconvenience, it sounds like.
Yes.
But it could have been so much
worse. But it yielded some great photos.
It
so
did.
I'm going to say at the end of the day, worth it.
Yeah.
Stories, right? We were the only thing that really went wrong that day. So like the live show was all over it, right? So it's fun.
That's right. That's right. Yeah, you did. You got great coverage for it. You made it into the daily update, the whole deal. So good for you. All right. Well, on to day 2 of 216 points total available. Another really fantastic day. I was right on top of you, and then I scrolled by, and I've missed you. But
day 2 was
did
fun.
Score some points. That's for sure.
We did. Day 2 was fun. So day 2, we were going from base camp 1 to our first marathon night, which was in Belmont, Nevada.
You did 182 points, 84% of the total points available.
And it was a really fun. We did the highest pass ever done on the ReBelle Rally, Ophir Pass,
which I definitely wrote in my notebook as OAFER, Ophir. It's OPHIR, which sounds much fancier.
Ophir, yeah. Okay. I like Ophir, though.
I do too.
Yeah. It's like a Star Wars villain or something. Yeah, I like it.
Yeah. But we had a really fun day that day. The pass was beautiful. It was these, really sharp, ledgy mountain trail, and as you came down the other side, it was just these beautiful water crossings with all of these canopies of yellow leaves.
Aspens. Yeah.
So gorgeous.
It was. And when we were looking up into the mountains and across the mountains, you could see, like, because of the recent rain and everything and it being fall, all of the kind of canyons of the topography, coming down between the chunks of rock of the mountains. Yeah, where all the washes are.
Beautiful.
It almost looked like lava, like these these like little swaths of red and orange and yellow coming out of the mountains. It was the coolest thing.
We don't get a lot of like fall colors out here in the West, right? You get pockets of it. It's not like the East Coast where, the whole landscape changes color. It's like here, it just happens in little pockets. And that day, it was like somebody had watercolored the mountain. So pretty. But yeah, we had that was a really fun pass and a fun day. And we were like, finding our rally pace and really jamming. And by the time we got they moved the fuel stop. It was supposed to be at CP6 and they moved it to CP14.
Sort of. They moved it and they moved it and they moved it.
Kept moving it.
They ended up at a third location. Yeah.
And by the time we got to the fuel stop, Busby was like, there's only like 6 teams ahead of you. But there is a clog of teams behind you coming down that mountain. So we got into fuel long before there was a line, which was good.
Nice.
And it was important because the fuel was only open from like 2 to 4 p.m.
Yeah, a short window.
Sure, right.
And if you missed fuel, you'd have to incur a penalty
to get fuel
and get
later.
permission to go fuel up at a gas station. Way to do it, right?
And I'm pretty sure on the sheet for the next day, because we were going into a marathon camp too, so there was no fuel at night that night. So I think on the next day, I'm pretty sure I saw a penalty, a mechanical on-course penalty
I
for
think there
fuel
were
for a
teams
couple
who did
teams.
because
Yeah, sure.
So they must
Yeah.
have missed the fuel the day
Yeah.
before.
And we were actually, we didn't realize we were so far ahead of schedule that we actually clicked our next checkpoint 20 minutes early, and we realized it. And then if you click early and you don't correct it after it opens, there's a couple of different scenarios, but you can lose some points on
Right.
it. But if you
You get a
wait until
penalty.
it opens and then click on it, you get the full value.
Okay.
And we were hoping, we had actually gotten a 0 on that one, and we were hoping we could correct it and then get the full value, but that's not how it works. So
So how do you strategize for this stuff? Do they tell you like that the fuel station's only going to be open from X to X?
they do. They put it on our CP guide in the morning, and then they talk about it in the morning. And, Jenna's furiously scribbling as many notes as she can so that we remember it later in the day.
Hopefully.
Right.
But Emily tells us, be aware that this is here and this is, you have to be here during
Or
this
watch
time.
opening and closing times.
And then we carry a copy of the rule book in the car. So when we clicked on the checkpoint early, I had this moment of hang on, what does that mean? And we pulled out the rule book and we flipped to the right page and we make sure we fully understand the right way to correct this problem to
Right.
give us the best chance at scoring points and not incurring any penalties. So
And how did you know that it was early? Does the tracker tell you that, or you just you clicked on it and then you look on your sheet and you're
No,
like, oh shit?
it's on our piece of paper. So it tells you
Right.
that this checkpoint opens at 3 hours. That means 3 hours after your start time. So let's say arbitrarily we started at 7:27.
Yeah.
That means that checkpoint opens at 3 hours, 10:27.
for
and
us,
it might say
for our specific team.
and it would be for your
Right.
specific team, right?
Right.
And then it'll say the closing time, and it'll say that checkpoint closes at 6 hours.
Okay.
And so I have a little column on my checkpoint guide that I'm writing all of the open and close times for the whole day.
Yeah.
Because as we've learned on this rally, yes, it is a driving rally. It is absolutely a navigation rally, but more than anything, it is a time management rally.
Yeah, it's
That's
all about
really what
pacing,
it's
yeah.
about.
So I would fail is what you're saying.
Oh yeah,
I mean,
Ike and I
you'd
would
have
be
to
a
commit to
disaster.
plans in advance.
Now it's different.
No.
Now are these times different? You mentioned that these are the times for your team. They're different for other teams. Is that right?
No,
This-
everybody will have
yeah.
the same window, but that'll be based on your start time. So if you start at 7:15, all of your open and closing times will be based on 7:15, whereas mine might be based on 7:42 because that's what my start time was.
Yeah, but you were
Yeah.
mentioning 3 hours for
Yeah.
our team, so I
Yeah.
assumed that.
Yeah.
You meant,
Oh.
yeah. Okay. I
Everybody will have basically the same
The same
number
thing.
of hours. Yeah.
see. I gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you don't. That's another thing you don't have to strategize. You don't have to think about, your order of checkpoints, for example, versus another team's. They could.
Some days you do. Some days when we do a loop, like we did, she called it a bow tie loop. But it's think of a figure 8 where
Yeah.
there's a loop of the course going one way and then there's a loop of course going the other way. And they'll start 2 teams off the line. So half of the group will do the west side first,
Oh, right,
while
yeah.
half of the teams are doing the east side. And then in the afternoon,
you
theoretically, you've swapped and you're doing the other part of the course. Well, when we'll get to that, the course conditions might change throughout the day.
Sure.
Spoiler alert, they absolutely did that day. And so, you do have to think about what are the advantages to starting on this side versus on that side. Where do you run the risk of timing out and losing points? And there was a definite advantage that day as to which side you started on
Right.
in terms of how it affected the end of your day and all of your
or just
closing
how to
times.
manage the time
Yeah.
accordingly.
Yeah.
So that evening that's your first overnight, correct? That was your first self camp.
Yeah, in Belmont. In Belmont. It was
Belmont, yeah.
beautiful. It was cold. It was
Yeah.
a little chilly that night. Not as cold as you guys made it sound on the on the podcast recap, but it was definitely chilly.
Nice.
They were
And
talking
you were
about
was
how
that
cold
Dirty
it was
Dicks?
on the live show.
Yeah. We came into Belmont and we were allowed to patronize the town, but we had to be back at our marathon camp by 8 p.m. So we had like a 2-hour window. and Dirty Dicks had like a spread of snacks out for us, and we had
could have drinks and stuff.
yeah, we had a gin and tonic, and we visited with other teams, and we patronized the establishment.
Shop local.
Yeah, it was really fun. And the people there in Belmont, it's such a neat place. It is such a cool little ghost, not a ghost town, but like this remnant of,
It's a historic mining town.
It is. It's really neat. It's really neat. And then we went back to our camp, and I plotted in the car while Jenna made me dinner and set up our camp.
Shout out to our Luxfly base camp. Meals.
Best meal.
How would you guys have that night? Brody and I were also strategizing on what you might have had for dinner.
We had asparagus risotto.
Oh, that's right. Mushroom asparagus risotto.
And it was so good.
Yeah. And we'd had snackies, so we didn't have like a ton. We didn't have two things that night because we just shared one. Yeah.
Yeah. It was really yummy, and we were very happy about it.
Nice. Now let's talk about day 3. So day 3, this is the start. You've started from the overnight camp, the solo camp. So no base camp that night. You are continuing on a plan that you'd started the previous day, right? There's no morning briefing. There's no, how does that work?
Right. So the morning before, Emily gave us our briefing note, didn't have our CP guide yet.
Okay.
We knew that we were going from Belmont back to base camp 1, but we didn't know how she was going to get us there. So, she gave us some notes. She sort of warned us about, be careful of this, watch your closing times, take headings here, whatever. But we didn't have all of this CPs plotted for that when we heard that information. But honestly, she just took us out away from Belmont a different way than we came in. Right. And worked our way back to base camp. It honestly, for us, I'm not going to lie, we were like talking about this day and we were taking notes, and it was just a day where we just like heads down. Yeah. Foot to the pedal. Let's just like do the day and just clip along and get our checkpoints. There wasn't a whole lot of notable things that day. We saw a lot of wild horses.
Yeah, we saw a lot of wild horses. These really beautiful, like huge herds of them of all different colors. It was really neat. And apparently one of the Toyota teams actually hit a rock and blew out 2 tires at the same time on this day.
Did they have 2 spares?
Wait,
I don't know.
Then, so 2 teams blew out tires on that same rock, and one of the teams blew out the second tire turning around to go backwards, and they hit the same rock again.
Oh, geez.
On the other side.
Terrible luck.
You didn't hear that.
It's insane. And I have to say, they took a lot of photos of this rock. This rock was it was very talked about. Again, not a lot happened that day, so the rock got a lot of play. But this rock, it did kind of just look like dirt. Was humongous. They wanted to actually recover it and bring it back and give it to the team as a trophy, but it was way too big. And it was just in such a way that it was like a serrated knife on the side at exactly sidewall. And it just cut the tire open. A good, probably a 2-inch gash in the side of that tire. Wow. Just not repairable, just nutty. But
so this year they instituted a new rule, which is that if you damage your tire and you no longer have a usable spare, so let's say you only carried 1 spare and you've now slashed a tire and you put that spare on and you can't patch it, you're not going to be able to fix it, you now have to call in to base camp operations and ask them what to do, because they might tell you to like skip a big rocky trail or a big pass or something, because they don't want you going on a dangerous part of the course without a tire that you can put on.
Nick doesn't want to come out and recover you.
Bingo. So there were a number of teams that only carry 1 spare.
All the Broncos
found themselves in that situation this year. Because, I don't blame them. I wouldn't want to carry 2 big, giant 37s if I didn't have to. But we are so traumatized from 23 and 24 that we're always carrying 2. So in the back of that 90, we actually had a 6th tire with us. And due to Jenna's incredible driving this year, we did not.
And the durability of the tires.
And our amazing Maxxis tires. We did not need a spare this year.
But you didn't touch any of them, actually. The tires look thick.
That's what you get for having 2 spares.
That's right. I will always bring 2 spares if it means I don't need any.
Always. Future ReBelles listening to this, like we are a firm believer that if you have them, you might not need them, but if you don't have them,
Definitely
absolutely will.
Yeah, that's right. So day 3, 209 points available, 178 points, 85% total. Very well done. Number 6, there's a 5 that got killed off of checkpoint number 6 there, and another one at 23. So those are the only 2.
23, we got 23 and we got 23X.
Ah, I see.
23 was on the way by. The X was a black.
Yes, and then disallowed. Oh, I see. Yeah, that's both 6X and I see. They both.
So sometimes when we know we're going to pass, say the regular one is a blue with a pole or a flag, and we know we're going to pass it on the way, we'll grab it just in case we have trouble finding the black checkpoint.
Sure. So
which doesn't have anything there.
Right.
So that if we don't feel good about clicking on the black, at least we've got 5 points from the regular one, whatever.
Sure,
so that's why sometimes you would see that and be like, wait, but it's not a penalty. It's just that by
both
X,
they exit out,
cancel out the regular.
the previous one. So day 4 now.
Day 4, this
day
is
4
our
is a good one.
favorite day.
Holy moly. So 224 points available. You scored 204 points, 91%.
I didn't know that.
Nice.
Of the total points available on that day. And just for contrast, Nina Barlow got only 9 more points than you guys did on the day. So the top 98% was only 9 more points. So you guys just absolutely killed it. Like it's a nutty day.
That was an incredible day. And we knew when she started talking about the day, I knew, I was like, Jenna, we're going back. This was our redemption day from 2022.
Yeah. So this is the day that in 2022, we were following along our rookie year. We were driving the cute little NAS 90.
Yes.
We were so excited and so naive.
Naive is the right word.
And we're out in this really cool area of the Inyos, and we're driving up this amazing rocky trail. We'd taken the option to do this X route, and we were going up this really cool rocky
on the
mountain wooded trail
across the valley from Mount Whitney, and you can see Mount Whitney, and you can see the Sierras, and Owens Valley is down below you. Like it's gorgeous, right?
But it's tricky navigating. And the first year we kind of noodled around. We found a cabin we weren't supposed to find, but we got back on track. We went up this cool rocky trail, and we ended up at this beautiful vista with a blue flag, and we found this checkpoint, and it was so amazing, and we were so excited. And then we got up to a trail junction, and there was this other team coming up, and it was a really awkward, we thought it was supposed to be like a one-way trail, and there was like really hard to pass, and it was just a really get out of the way situation.
Yeah.
And they were like, Papoose Flats is down there. And so we just to jockey around, we went down this other turn, and because that's where we were supposed to be going.
Yeah.
But it wasn't down there.
It wasn't.
This was like the first and only time that we were like truly lost,
because we didn't realize
in the right place,
that we didn't go the right way
Right.
until much, much later.
and I having retraced it.
I remember seeing that on the map.
That. Yeah.
We were on the wrong mountain eventually, and then had to hit the highway and just like jam out. So we have ever since then, we have FOMO'd about the portion of that trail that we missed that day.
That's right.
Because that trail climbs you up the mountain and then takes you down southwest, like down this amazing, down the side of the mountains back into the valley. And we missed that whole section, and we've never gone back.
And I always imagined Papoose Flats was like this flat, nothing to see kind of area, but we can tell you this year, Papoose Flats is one of the most striking and incredible vistas I've ever seen. It took my breath away, honestly.
Wow.
And getting down there this year was like such a win. And then the next checkpoints came. And that was the day that we had Stephanie and Avis in the other Defender, kind of in our pack, like kind of at the same time as us, right? So we had the two Defenders going down this beautiful area together. And Stephanie had expressed earlier in the day that she was a little bit concerned. She was hearing some weird things, and she wasn't totally sure. And she asked us, we felt like such assholes. She asked us if this was a like really difficult or rocky trail at the bottom, and we're like, no,
It's fine.
Yeah.
You'll be totally fine.
It's
in your
woodsy and
stock
uphill
defender
with no,
So you essentially gave them the like Papoose Flats is that way. Just head down there.
by accident.
Wow.
by accident. And then we basically spent the next hour and a half going, oh, I feel really
We feel
bad.
Oh my
I feel
god,
bad for
this
doing
is so rocky and so ledgy and oh geez.
But we got to a place in the trail.
Yeah.
There was a bit of a clog in the trail. There were a lot of cars. There was this Jeep that was parked off to the side, coincidentally exactly where we needed to be to get the right line to climb this rocky ledge. And it ended up being this really slow going thing. We had to jockey a bunch of cars around so that Jenna and I could get the right line and be the first car to go up it in this
Right.
pack of cars.
Sure.
And then tried to guide Stephanie up. And Avis, what a champ she was. She's such a good spotter. And she was doing everything she could to help Stephanie get up. But it became very clear this was not a driver problem. This was a vehicle problem.
Yeah.
Something was not working. And their front tire just wasn't spinning and just wasn't getting any traction. Everything else was trying really hard, but the car was freaking out.
And this is a steep uphill
Yes.
in the mountains with
Right.
like this rock shelf that's not horizontal to the trail. All these like razorback chunks of rock kind of
Yeah.
going uphill, but they're also ledgy, but it's
Yeah.
very lumpy. And there's a huge rock ledge that you have to get up before you get up to that section.
yeah.
Right.
And it just wasn't happening.
No.
And
And it was not driver error. Like
Yeah. Right.
Stephanie's a great driver.
Sure.
It was very clear that something was wrong with her vehicle. And they ended up having to back out and backtracking all the way out to where we had entered.
I mean, basically, we were able to get that Jeep off of that one spot. Then they were able to back into that spot and then kind of get off, let everyone else pass, and then they could go the rest of the way back down the hill.
So by the time we parted with them, because we were already up, we were going to continue on. So by the time we parted with them, now we've spent some time out there.
Right.
Now the clock is ticking,
Yeah, we're
and
like,
now
oh,
we
boy.
got to go.
Yeah.
And so we were just, I think what we learned this year is that in those moments where we are up against the clock, our adrenaline starts flowing. That's when we were actually the most accurate with our black checkpoints, because I would like just super hyper focused on the map, tracking all of our turns and all of our bloops and all of our ups and downs. And like, and we got full points through all of
Yeah, you
Blats, I
guys did
believe.
amazing. Yeah.
So,
And then-
will a future strategy involve just stressing each other out?
yeah.
Absolutely. Because it's actually complacency is where I like start to go, it's like somewhere up ahead. We'll figure it out when we get to 6 kilometers. Whereas like this day, I'm like every 100 meters, I'm trying to make sure I understand where we are on the map.
A really tricky nav area. So you had
So
to be
hard.
really hyper focused to just keep track of where we were.
Yeah,
Because
it was so hard.
nothing was straight. There were all these turns and all these branchy trails going into different mountains and valleys. We had PTSD from the previous time being up there.
Exactly.
You know.
But then Redemption Day continues.
Yeah.
We get down off the mountain.
Yeah.
We're flying down these trails. We're collecting checkpoints along the way.
And at that one point, we were like, oh my God, we're getting late. This has taken a long time to get off this mountain.
we were starting to stress.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then remember we came down into the valley
Yeah. And all the
we-
cars were going kind of.
everywhere.
Yeah.
And there was that we had to go down that one trail and we were on the wrong side of that berm.
Yeah,
And we had to
that's what I was
backtrack,
thinking.
get
Yeah,
up
yeah,
on the
yeah.
berm, go down. And like I made the split second decision. No, it's down this trail. And we jammed down there, get the points. Anyways, super fun. But then we had the enduro. Then we had the timed enduro that we have so lovingly for the last 3 years called the Mario
Mario
Kart enduro, because it feels like you're like dodging all these pipes and all these blocks
Yeah,
and
it's
like
insane. It is on the lid of the aqueduct. So it's like a
Yeah.
concrete road,
Yeah.
basically on the side of a mountain with no barrier.
yeah, there's
Like,
like,
it's
a
just
shelf road to get up there,
Yeah.
and then you're driving literally on the aqueduct.
And
Oh,
on
cool.
this road, like every 20 feet is a random obstacle. Like not a logical obstacle.
No.
Not an obstacle placed there for safety. It's just
Concrete
like
blocks and poles,
just
and
in the middle, just arbitrarily everywhere. So there's like on the tulip notes, it's just like 20, at 1.17 kilometers, pole, stay right. Then,
two, J left at point one, J right.
and then it's just like multiple poles. And so
we've
you're trying
always
to
wanted to go back and retrace this one, and we've never been able to get out there and make it a priority.
Yeah.
And it felt so good to go out and do it. And I think we got 19 out of 20.
Yeah, I think
or
we got
20
most
out
of the
20
points.
on that.
Really, it was very good. Yeah,
Yeah.
19 out of 20 on that.
It was fun. It was super fun. Okay, so
And real quick, for reference, the way the timed enduros are scored.
oh yeah,
So we're at a prescribed pace. That pace changes throughout the enduro. We have to figure out exactly what time we're supposed to hit every
To the
single
second.
waypoint in the road book. And to the second. And along the way, we don't know where they're going to be. There are 4 time controls. At each of those time controls, we can get points, up to usually 5 points per time control.
that's right.
Because they're usually worth 20 points. Sometimes they're worth more and they're different numbers. But so if we hit that time control from 0 to, I think, 3 seconds from in either direction, the prescribed time that we should be hitting it, assuming we did our math right, we get full points. And then for the next, 3 seconds outside of that boundary, we lose a point. And then 3 seconds out of that, we lose a point.
Right,
So it's
right.
very precise. Like it is.
So if
it's
you're 4 seconds late, you lose a point.
yeah.
Right.
So anyway, and some of these are 25 kilometers long, like, or even more.
There
This
was
one
an
was
enduro
short.
last year that was over an hour long.
Wow. Yeah, that's a lot of time to be really focused on your second counting.
And some of them are fast. Some of them are really slow. Honestly, the slow ones are even harder.
I think they're
when you're
harder.
going. We had one a couple years ago where we went around this burrow sanctuary, and it was a 5 kilometer an hour for like
That's like 5 miles per hour.
It was
it's like
so
walking.
long.
You can walk
It was
that
so
fast.
long.
You can
Yeah, it
walk
was-
faster.
It's hard to actually keep a car at that pace.
Yeah, not
Anyway.
really. You need an electric car to be able to go 3 miles an hour consistently. Yeah.
And you're not allowed to stop. So if you
Right.
get ahead of
Yeah, you
schedule, you
can't
cannot
stop.
just
Can't
stop.
stop, yeah.
You have to keep moving. So you're just like ooching, but trying to like, you're coming in hot.
We think that the enduros are one of the more stressful parts of the rally.
It's
Although
chaos.
if you're up against the clock for checkpoints all day, it's kind of like running an enduro all day long.
Yeah.
But anyways, those are pretty stressful moments, and it's all about like, she has done the math, but I have the worksheet in front of me with all the tulips,
Right.
and I'm telling her distance and time, and I'm counting her down, and we're looking for features together so that we know what it is that she's trying to get to in 7 seconds. Anyways, those are super fun, and we did a really good job on that one, and it felt so good because in 2022. We messed that one up too. Like we messed up that whole day in 2022.
And we timed out of maybe we even timed out of a green on 2022
and
that
they
day.
changed enough this year. It's not like all these checkpoints were in the same place. We're retracing a lot of the same areas, and it was such that was a really fulfilling day. But now we are, because we've spent some time at each of these places, now we are getting really tight on time.
Yeah.
And we've got to get to base camp 2, which is in Ridgecrest. And there's an option in the road book that if you're running late, you can bomb out of the road book, get to Ridgecrest, and just go get your base camp points. But if you get there early enough, there's a precision enduro in the OHV area.
Oh, cool.
Which, you could go, and there were 20 points available for it. And we had to make a split-second decision. Do we have time for this? We've got like 24 minutes or something. Do we have enough time to complete this? And we're like, yeah, let's do it.
And once you complete it, you're on dirt. Like you're not getting back to pavement.
That's right.
You're in there.
Right.
Yeah.
So we get off on dirt, and we go, and we start the precision enduro.
Which is not
and
timed.
It's not,
but it's
timed.
Sneaky and tricky.
Very sneaky and tricky, and like all these cap headings and averages and calculated and things like that, where sometimes your distance will be exactly what it says in the road book, and other times your distance might be more, it might be less.
Depending how the notation is. There's
And
different
so
types
like
of these
we're
headings,
having to like really think this through, and we backtracked once or twice and went back to a known place to like make sure we got out, we took the heading, we got the right trail. And it was really satisfying to nail that and then jam over to base camp to get our points. It was good. It was a really fulfilling
We
day.
did not leave time on the table that day.
And we were so excited. Like we came in with like 2 minutes to spare or something like that. We were so excited. And then we're like, whoa, maybe Stephanie's problem earlier today, maybe it was the axle shaft. And guess what we have? We have extra in the roof. We're like, we might have the part that she needs. Yeah. And so we go find her when she crosses the finish line, and she is just looking so defeated, right?
Yeah.
And it turns out Nick had gone out on course and diagnosed it as a wheel speed sensor. And we're like, guess what? So we go running back to our car, which we haven't impounded yet, get them, hand them over to Stephanie. She's elated. We're all celebrating. We're acting like Oprah has just given us $10,000.
Right.
Like, all of us are so excited. And then half an hour later, Avis comes to find us and says, the mechanics wanted to know if you have a wheel speed sensor. Those, it seems, were TPMS sensors.
Tire pressure.
Yeah.
And we were like, we didn't order tire pressure monitor sensors. We ordered wheel speed sensors.
But we didn't really look that carefully at the package. Just packed them in the box.
Just packed them. We just trusted that's what we got. And it turned out that, I don't know, maybe the parts manager was like, those silly girls don't need wheel speed sensors. They must mean TPMS.
Or maybe somebody just grabbed the wrong thing.
Or somebody just grabbed the wrong
Could
thing.
be.
Yeah.
Could be.
No.
And so we went from the high of being so elated to like,
oh, God. Sorry, we led you up that rocky trail and we don't have the part.
They ended, and they were so... they were like, no, we made that choice to go with you. And like, we felt fine with it. Like, it's not your fault. Anyways, it was a roller coaster of a day.
Oh my goodness. Okay. Well, then let's talk about day 5. Day 5 is a little, let's say, rockier than the day before.
Ew, muddy.
302 points total available on the day. You guys scored 213 or 71% of the total points, but to be fair, the top teams didn't get anywhere close to 300 points. The best, the absolute best, and actually there's a pretty huge distance between that, is 263 points. But
it was a hard day.
Yeah, most are in the 50s to the 40s, 30s. Not great. It looked like a tough day.
What you guys need to understand at home is day 5 was designed to break us. Day 5, it was designed to have way more checkpoints than you could get. And there was an out of order section at the end of our day.
Yes.
And
this was the bow tie, right?
This was the bow tie day. So we started over in Dove Springs in the morning.
Looks good. Scoring almost all the points on almost everything.
Just started raining. We were getting it. Just rained for 6 hours. Just a constant downpour.
Right.
And the trails were getting progressively wetter and muddier and muckier. And by the time we got over to Ridgecrest, there was an out of order checkpoint area. So like, I don't know, there were 8 checkpoints that in any order that you choose.
Yeah.
And I think you're better to end your day like that than start your day like that, because then you're just making decisions based on how much time you have left.
That's right, yeah.
And so we knew there were like 3 checkpoints way up in the northeast corner. We knew we didn't have enough time to get out there and try to go get them.
Yeah.
So we just focused on what we did know we could find.
Right.
In time.
Within the time. I made Jenna run up a mountain.
Yeah.
I chose to run up the mountain because I was convinced it was up there.
I was ready to give up, and she was like, I'm just going to hike up there and go take a look.
I'm just going to take a peek. Yeah.
But before we even got to that side, Liza may have sent us on a little side quest by forgetting to go get a checkpoint.
We went from 12, and then we're headed to 14, and then suddenly it was like,
we forgot 13.
Yes.
So we had to do a little detour, a day that my brain felt very fatigued and and any mistakes that we made that day were basically my fault. They were basically just me making silly little errors.
Yeah.
And just being really tired. So
one wide miss, so not really that many errors, and then what looks like a late into base camp, but
we'll get to in a minute.
But one wide miss on the day.
Did we have a wide miss?
Did we have a wide miss?
Did it actually say wide miss?
According to the scoreboard, it is one wide miss. Yes.
I don't remember which one that was.
It
won't say either where you got that. Well, no, that's not true. It's 17. It was the wide miss.
Was that in
17?
So
Oh,
it's
that
right
was
after
in
the
Ridgecrest.
16 green CP, the immediate next checkpoint.
Retally the scores.
Yeah,
Who knows?
Retell
Well,
it.
who knows? Who knows?
Objection.
there is actually an objection later in the day, but yeah.
We'll take your word for it on the wide miss. I honestly don't really remember it, but yeah.
It's possible.
It was a roller coaster of a day, yet again. We were up against the clock, yet again.
Yep.
And we go out and do our out of order checkpoints, and then we gotta fly to base camp. And if there's one thing we hate, it's missing out on base camp points.
Yeah.
And we come into base camp.
We are flying, so we're counting the seconds as we're driving down the highway.
We're
we
thinking
have
that
3 till
own
base
it.
camp times out. We're flying down the highway. 2.5 minutes till base camp times out. And once you get off the highway, it's a dirt road.
Right.
But we get
to
off
base
the
camp.
highway, and I'm like, Jenna, you're going to get me close enough that I can sprint to the thing, and I'm going to click the tracker, because there's a line of cars
Sure, of course. Yeah, of course.
at the finish line, and
But
you have
the
to be
finish-
within 100 meters.
And our finish time, like we were supposed to finish at like 5:22 that day, based on our start order of 7:22.
Yeah.
But it's not 5:21:59 flipping over to 22. We have the full 22
minute.
minutes. So we have all the way from 5:22:59 to click in that tracker.
Yes.
So Jenna pulls in behind these cars before she's even fully come to a stop. I'm out of the car. I've got the tracker. I'm sprinting, and in my head, I've seen that it is 5:22, and I'm counting in my head. And I get to about 40 seconds, and I'm like, I'm going to click the tracker right here. This is as far as I'm going to get.
Yeah.
And I click the tracker with 14 seconds, to spare. So
And
we're
we're
just like, oh my God, we got it. And then the idiots that we are,
We got a report card that night.
report card that night, and we're
But it
like,
was a long, it took forever to get through the
was
line and
late.
stuff. I don't know why. It was like,
mechanics were
Something took
slow.
forever.
They were washing all the cars because we were so
there was
muddy.
that.
They
And
were
I feel like the
cleaning
fuel line took
Yeah,
the number.
right, sure,
It was a muddy day, and by the time we get our report card, we're like, huh, how come it says that we timed out on that?
or why is it highlighted in red?
Why is it highlighted in red?
But it shows the points, so I guess it's
I guess that's
okay.
fine. We didn't go file an inquiry before we realized it, and they had written that we started at 7:20.
So they did the math based on
We were
720.
off the line at 7:22 that morning.
Yeah. So we could have
got those 10
we could have
points.
petitioned for those 10 points,
Oh.
And
which
we
would
didn't
have made
realize
a
it.
difference at the end.
Yeah,
It would have made a difference at the end, yes.
We didn't realize it in the moment, and we
Right.
didn't go. We were just. It was such
Yeah,
a.
sure,
We have,
sure.
we have 2 hours from when you cross the finish line, right, to file that inquiry.
Yeah.
A scoring inquiry.
Yeah, of course, yeah.
But you don't even get your report card till at least maybe 45 minutes till you cross
Right.
the line.
Right.
And we
that's-
were back in the mechanics
We were
because we
tightening
had
one thing.
we had a fender liner.
Oh, that's right.
That was
that day.
So they cheated you.
On accident.
accidentally.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
And we didn't do our due diligence to go get those 10 points back. So the responsibility is on us.
To not be cheated.
Well, we're supposed to
catch that
review
error.
it.
Catch that
And,
error.
yeah. Yeah. This wasn't the fender liner day, though.
Yes,
was
it was. Yes, it was. We, on that Enduro in Ridgecrest, we just got sort of sucked into a little ditch.
Was that the timed Enduro that
And
day?
Yes, and it pulled the fender liner back, and it took out the clip that holds the windshield wiper fluid line together that brings the wiper fluid to the back of the car, to the back window.
Yeah.
But this was in the middle of a timed Enduro.
Yeah, so you
So
just-
we're
who cares?
we're doing all the things, and I'm like, bam, and I'm like, and then we start hearing like a little noise, and I'm like, oh, we only have like 2 more or 3 more waypoints left on this timed Enduro, so we can nail it. And we finished the Enduro, but we were really short on time to get to this next green. And so, because like the timing stops, but we still, our actual
Sure,
running
yeah.
out of time was for this next green was running out. And so we're just like, I got out of the car and I looked and I was like, well, the wheel's not falling off, the tire's not busted, but there's blue fluid dumping out of the car. I don't know what the noise is. It's not radiator fluid. It's not steering fluid. I don't think it's brake fluid. I don't
not
know.
important. Let's
It's not. Let's just at least go get the green, and I'm going to diagnose it there.
She tells me in the car, it's blue. I'm like, it's got to be windshield wiper fluid.
And then the
That's all
alert
it can
came
be.
up on the dash that to refill the windshield fluid, and we're like, okay, well at least it's not important. And then
At least it's not a muddy day.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And we didn't know what the noise was though at that point yet. And so we got up to the rock, and then we went over a couple of big hills, and then we found the green. And then once we got to the green and got our click, then we like did an examination. I was like, oh, it's the fender liner, you know.
It had folded backwards.
It was in there, and I had to like rip it out just completely, and I shoved it in the back of the car.
Sorry about that, Ralph. That's fine. No, it's no.
It's just one of a handful of things that are one with the desert. Yeah.
Because it did not make it through day 6.
Also, to that list, you can add 2 of those plastic wheel covers on forever.
Yeah.
And that nut
Yeah,
from the bolt
out there somewhere. Yeah.
But yeah, that was 5,
that was
and
day
it was
5.
that was a crazy, super fun but super stressful day.
Yeah.
So on to day 6. Day 6, also a good day overall. 235 points available, 185 points scored, 79% total with 1 wide miss on day 6.
Yeah.
Day 6 was an interesting one.
Yeah?
You might have seen that on the tracker.
Yes. Yeah. Well, it was a little bit of
We had a quest. We went on our own quest that day.
The day starts out just fine. We actually nailed a bunch of black checkpoints in the morning, and we actually were doing really well coming. Yeah. And then going to this dry lake bed where we have had a road book before take us through the dry lake bed. Like, we know that area.
Right.
And I only realized after the fact that I've never gotten out of that area just looking at the map. I've only ever done it on a road book that tells you where to go and how to turn.
And by that, it's like one time. We've been there once, and we were
there in 22 and 23. But anyhow, like,
it all looks the same.
It was really cool. We did this. We had to dead reckon 4.5 kilometers across a dry lake bed and then click the tracker and hope that you stayed on your heading. And like, Jenna did great.
We did better on that this time than we've ever done. It's really hard to
both we're looking at things, and anyways, it was really, that was cool. We were feeling good about that, but we had no way of knowing because it was a heading and distance checkpoint. I didn't really know how far away we actually clicked the tracker, but we were feeling really good about this. And then coming out of that area, there were 2 valleys that you could go down.
Yeah.
We were supposed to stay with the more northwestern side of it, and we accidentally went the southeastern side of this mound of hills. So coming out of that lake bed, we made a couple of errors, and we didn't realize just how wrong we were until we were way too far down, of course. So whenever we are doing transits, Emily always gives us a 200,000 scale map. Most of the time we work off of 100,000 scale because you can see more detail. Yeah. But she will give us 200,000 scale when we're doing big transits for this purpose. If you get lost, she wants you to be able to figure out how to, and we were off the 100,000 map. Yeah. We realized like what we were going to do about this.
Yeah, we just got like split off on a trail that took us on down this wrong valley. Like, there were multiple valleys, multiple mountains, and we kind of just ended up in the wrong valley.
And we're covering a lot of distance,
and it's
that day.
Crappy, washy. Yeah. We're going downhill.
If you go the intended route, it was a 400-kilometer day, but we did not go the intended route. But we realized it, and we were like, oh my God, what are we going to do to fix this?
We can't go backtrack. It's too far. We've gone too far.
Well, then time out of everything for the rest of the day. So so I start looking ahead, and I'm plotting checkpoints on both maps to like line it up. And we realize where we are, and we see this absolutely dead straight road that will get us really close to getting back on the course. We just have to pop back up from this lower valley up into this upper valley.
Yeah. And to clarify, we see a really straight line on the map that we hope is a
really straight road.
Right.
And sure enough, when we get there, it is. And we jam down this dirt road as fast as we can go.
As fast as we're allowed to go.
Right. We're like up against our speed limiter that we've set because we don't want to get a speeding penalty, but we're going as fast as we can. To try to correct this. So we had to leave 12, which was a blue, and 13X and 14X. We could not get back to them. And as we were coming back up, we were debating, do we even have time to go back for 15? You know, because we have to collect in order for those that don't know. And so we were debating, like, do we even have time for this? And we just decide, you know what? No risk, no reward. We're going to do it. So we jam up, go get 15.
Well, we jam down this long straight road, and because there's two options that can get us back up over the mountains on the other side where we're supposed to be, into the other valley. Right? This is the crux. Yeah.
Quick question. How much is the speeding penalty?
It depends. It's based on how long you're speeding and how fast you're speeding.
How many
So
you were?
last year
What's the
Bernard got
maximum?
I don't know if there is a maximum. Last year Bernard got that 40-point penalty, remember?
That's right. Yes.
Yeah.
The
So
fast
that
discovery team in the
outweighs
world.
any advantage that you
It
would
does.
have from, okay.
100%. Yeah.
Yeah.
It is meant to be a deterrent because
Yeah.
they don't want you speeding. It really it impacts their ability to get permits in those areas in future years.
sure, right.
They take it very seriously. And when everybody is pushing the speed limit too much, they'll actually lower the speed limit for the day, for the whole rally to kind of punish everybody. So anyways, we do manage to pop back up. We made some really smart decisions.
There was one trail that we could pop up earlier over the mountains, but it looked real wiggly, and we were like, ooh, that could be a time suck. We just need to get there. So we went farther and found a straighter pass up over this valley and up over the mountains
And
over
we
a saddle.
come up and we jam backwards up the trail and get 15 and then continue. And we're like, well, you know what? We made such good time. I think we can go get 16X and 17X. And it was one of those days, again, where we're like, okay, right, we got to go. And, we're pulling up. I'm measuring really carefully as we're driving down the road and, measuring the map. And it was one of those ones where we just, okay, pull over right here. We've gone 4.7. It's not closer than that. Move up 50 meters. Click the tracker. We're not debating it. We're not getting out.
We're not points, but we're in the zero. We're at least not going to get a wide miss. And we feel good about it.
Nailed those checkpoints. I think we got full points on both of them. Go get our green, air up our tires, get on the pavement. The one thing we have realized is that from the green, we had a big, long pavement transfer down the 40 highway,
Yes.
which is a big interstate. And we have to go 156 kilometers down the 40. Know that it's going to take us time, and that once we get off the pavement, we also have to go another 25 kilometers down a power line road.
That they've warned us is got lots of huge hidden car ruining holes and dips.
Yeah, they were like, this is not day ruining. This is
car ruining.
Roll your car.
Right. Okay.
And so, we know we're going to be tight on time
and there's
for the rest of the day.
On these other roads too. It's not just that we're getting there. Ideally, there's a lot of points along those roads.
Yeah, for sure.
And so, we're going down the highway. We get off and we burned a half a tank of gas just on the highway. And then we pull off onto this power line road. We're now in the Mojave Desert. We're, I don't know, about 40 kilometers outside of Needles, which is where Base Camp 3 is.
Yep.
And we are going down this power line trail that is really whoopy. And then we have to go up a pipeline trail that is extremely washed out.
But also crazy steep. It has these hills on it that are just
and there would be these times where we would
tall.
have to drop down 70 feet, but the pipeline would stay
horizontal
at the
next to
same
us,
level, and you would just see it supported these girders, and we'd be dropping 70 feet to the bottom and then 70 feet back up the other side.
Really crazy.
And so even having to shift down into low range to do the climb on and then back into high range and scream down the trail for another 2 kilometers and then back into low range, go down a big hill, go back up. It was a really crazy way to spend the day of whoa.
Yeah. And not too many.
Oh no.
And so we roll into Base Camp 3 that night with not a lot of time to spare. We were a little worried we would time out of Base Camp, and we got there, I don't know, with 10 minutes left, like that. And yet again, had a good day because our backs were up against the wall, and we were convinced. We didn't stay up to see the scores get posted that night.
Yeah.
We were so tired. We woke up the next morning and we were we probably fell to 15th
or 17th
or 17th or 20th.
Not the case.
Instead, we moved up a point because we weren't the only ones that had a rough day.
Other detour, other people just timed out of things, didn't time out of. It was kind of insane.
No, it was a healthy day, actually. Yeah, you guys did just fine.
And sometimes that's how the rally goes. You don't know what's happening in the other cars. You don't know what mistake they have
that's
made.
Right.
Yeah, we're always just assuming everyone else is executing perfectly and we're failing and like, oh, we just ruined it, but.
And instead, it turned out to be, comparatively speaking, like we had kind of the same day that a lot of other teams had.
Yep.
And even though we lost some checkpoints due to our side quest, we did great that day. We actually
got
did
more
fine.
than everybody else, so it doesn't matter. Yeah, exactly.
We were okay. And,
It was crazy.
and so,
It was wild.
So we woke up the next morning and both of us looked at each other and went,
What? Wow.
okay, I'll take it.
Yeah.
And
All
then
right.
away we go. And
So
now
then
we're
Day
headed to the
7,
dunes.
and you're in the dunes now. Dunes part 1, day 1 of 2.
Yeah.
And so this day, a total of 250 points available. You guys did 166 points, or 66% total. So let's talk about the Dunes Day 1. It definitely looks like you can actually even see from your score this sort of in and out strategy at play. You look at all the top teams kind of have the same sort of strategy on points hunting. You see which ones they go for and which ones they avoid, and it's very interesting. It's actually very similar across all of the sort of top performing teams as to which ones they're doing.
There's a reason for that. If you look at the way the course was set up that day, there was X route right off the bat. You had to make that decision as soon as you got into Glams,
Right.
whether you were going to do the X route or the regular route. When you are in that top 10 and every point matters, you have to go for the X route if you want to stay competitive, because it's worth so many more points than the regular route. On day 1, that might not matter very much, but by day 7 and 8, like, you can't afford to take the easy path. You got to go for the harder stuff.
Right.
And the way that the X route worked was it was more points, but they were down in the washes. And in Glams, on the east side of Glams, you cut in up the washes and go up to the dunes. And there are these and we call them the shitty dunes on that side. They're not as tall, but they are trickier to drive in many,
You just get really high centered. If you try, you cannot cross them.
You cannot cross them. You have to follow the washes and find these little fingers into the dunes. And we've done enough driving out there now that we're pretty confident that, like, hey,
if we can just
figure
find
this
a
out.
wash that goes in there, we can get in there. Just so you can't always find that wash off the bat. Like,
we have
it takes a while.
learned from past mistakes. We've learned how to just trust the process and follow the wash and figure it out. And so we went up there and we actually found a lot more than we expected
you guys
to
did
find.
Great.
We got a wide miss on 5X. We weren't the only ones to botch that one. I was kind of wish
wide misses. In
I
fact,
wish we clicked on that one.
Nina Barlow got a wide miss.
We talked about it that night. Like, it was a really tricky checkpoint.
It was just a very vague spot in the shitty dunes, and to predict how far you've gone.
Dead to it from something, and we thought we had, and we got really close. I looked at our dot today on YB tracking. We got really close. We just were just outside of the zone, and so we did get a wide miss on that one. But we got so many other things that we went after.
Yeah.
And then, when you look at the percentage of points that we got that day, this is another situation where later in the day, there was an out of order checkpoint area where you could kind of make a lot of choices for yourself. And it's sort of like spaghetti. There are teams going in every direction.
And generally in those areas, the expectation for all but maybe the top 2 teams is that you're not getting all these checkpoints.
No.
There's way more checkpoints than you can possibly get. So it makes the percentage look lower.
Yeah.
But the intent is not that you're going to actually achieve all of these points.
Right.
Yeah, there's just no way.
It just gives you a lot of options. So you have to kind of choose which area you're going to go to, because there's not time to cover all of the ground. So
we went in with one plan. And they had actually put a blue on our map, which they never do. They put 15 on the map, and there was a big note about it that this was a navigational beacon. Sponsor flags. That's what was written on my CP guide. And they plotted the coordinate on the map, which they never do with. And we were like, okay, we're going to go find 15, and then we're going to use that to dead reckon to some of these other places.
Which it seemed like was the point. They were trying to get people
that's
to
what they were trying to get us to do. And we went to where 15 should have
It
been.
was this beautiful little pyramid dune.
Yeah,
It just
yeah.
really
the
seemed like a
tallest
beacon.
point for like a kilometer and a half in any direction. And it was really like obvious. And we get there and we're driving around this thing. We're going, all over. We're getting
Is it on
to
the
high
back?
spots.
Is it on the front?
We're
What
hiking
side?
up
It's
to
got to
the
be
top
around
of
here.
the dune. We're looking out. And for the first time in 4 rallies, we felt confident we were in the right place, but the blue flag was missing. And this said multiple sponsor flags. So now we're second guessing.
we're
We're
like,
like, oh, are we sure? And we're watching every frickin' ReBelle team drive to this point, drive around in circles and then leave. And we finally go, okay, this flag has been stolen by somebody out here in Glams. We're going to call it in. If a blue checkpoint has gone missing, there is a protocol.
Yeah.
And if you click your tracker where you think it is,
You have to commit.
you have to commit, you have to click, and then you call into base camp operations and you talk to dispatch. And I think there's a blue flag missing, and they record your coordinate and what time you called. And we were the first people to call it in. And Phil says, "You're the first person to call. I'll have to check on that." And so I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
And so we hang up and we're like, well, let's go.
Yeah. Because
Now-
what if we're wrong? Now is
Right.
it a wide miss? Do we need to go try to correct it?
If it's wrong, it's a wide miss. And if it's right, we not only get the points if we're within 300 meters,
Yes.
but we get 20 extra minutes added to our closing
Because we've been
times for the
swirling
rest of
around
the
looking
day.
for this
right,
thing, yeah.
Right. Sure. Yeah.
And this is really important for us to know because we're going to plan our whole strategy on it. So
Yes.
we plotted where we clicked and we did the math and we were like, we are 226 meters away. We're within the 300 meter radius. We get the points. We get the 20 minutes if he can confirm that it was in fact stolen. And we're right there. I'm not, at this point, I'm like, I know it's stolen.
Right.
Like it should be right here and it is not, right?
Now, actually stolen, or was this a function of the rally where
I asked
we don't know?
Jimmy Lewis last night, Revelation, and
Yeah.
he confirmed it was stolen.
Somebody went and took
In
it.
a,
It happens.
In a
You have all
side by
those
side. It happens in
side-by-sides.
Glamis a lot.
Yeah.
And so anyway, so then we plan the rest of our day around knowing that we have 20 extra minutes
Right.
that other teams might not.
But after this blue, we were initially going to go into the dunes, like down south,
Yeah.
and get some of the checkpoints, like in the dunes along the boundary.
Sure, yeah.
Disco ball. There's a bunch of waypoints down, but
Yeah,
it just
yeah.
felt like we did not have time. As we were looking at the clock, we were like, if we go that far in, we're going to get 1 point, like one
Right.
checkpoint,
Yeah,
because
right.
then we're just
Yeah.
going to
Because
have
then
to
we're going to have
dip
to
back.
turn around and go back because we have to go all the way back over to the other side.
Sure, yeah.
And we know that's going to take 45 minutes from where we are in the
Well,
dunes.
from Gecko Road, from the end of Gecko
from
Road.
the end of Gecko Road
Yeah.
all the way up and around. We know we need 45 minutes to
Yeah.
be able to do that. And there are still a couple of green checkpoints and a blue checkpoint along the way. And so we decided to bomb down to the canal, and there were 3 checkpoints along the canal that we could get.
But it meant we had to abandon the dunes and go to the canal. Like, you have to make
Right.
these choices,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, sure.
And,
Yeah.
this was where returning rebels or people who have done a lot of training in Glamis have the advantage. The way that those checkpoints were plotted on the map, you can't see where the new canal is on the map. But I know that those checkpoints were near the new canal. And so we were able to go down there and get them, which was a real, and then bomb back up to Gecko Road and
Yeah.
go in and get an X checkpoint on the way back to where we're doing our marathon self camp that
the
night.
self camp that night. Yeah.
And so we actually had a really thrilling, really successful day.
And we didn't
never-
leave any time on the table again. We used every
we used
second
every
of
second
it.
we
Yeah.
had. And we would have timed out of our base camp points had
right.
we not gotten those 20 minutes
Yeah.
back.
Had somebody not stolen that flag.
Well, if we hadn't gotten the called it in and gotten the
Yeah,
20
called
minutes,
it
yeah.
in, yeah.
This was where, like, literally pulling out the rule book and consulting
Yeah.
what the rule was
Yeah.
to make sure that we fully knew what we could do here was to our advantage.
Right.
Always worth the extra 45 seconds to
No.
find that page in the rule book.
Exceptionally good advice. Overnight camp that night. So
Beautiful.
nice. Yeah.
So
we camped
lovely.
with the Hohens.
Oh, excellent. Of course, the only one of 2 teams that has been in the ReBelle every single year since its
Together as
inception.
and always in a Land Rover.
Yeah.
Always in the Land Rover. Yeah. Like only in like 2 Land Rovers period, right? Like there's only ever been
Over 10
2 or
years,
something.
yeah.
That's like unheard of.
They were lovely. We camped
Yeah.
with them
They are
and Team Heck Yeah, who we've been rallying with 4 years straight, and
Yeah.
it was really nice. We hung out with them. It was lovely.
Late night plotting.
Late night
So what
plotting.
happens on marathon night?
All the favorite stuff.
They
yeah.
gave us a timed enduro on day 8.
Yeah.
How mean is that?
Yeah.
So Jenna's doing math in her tent. So it was really lovely. And then
What was the meal, first of all? I know a lot of people are
Oh.
interested in meal.
So that night we did 2 pouches
Ooh.
and a dessert pouch.
Oh my God.
So we did, one was a enchilada chicken, black bean and chicken enchilada bowl.
Yep.
And, we
And then
did
the
chili
chili
relleno.
relleno.
Yeah. So we did sort of a side by
nice.
side
Yeah.
on the plate. And
Yeah.
then for dessert, I think we had coconut tres leches cake with like a rhubarb sauce.
It was so good.
Wow.
It was
wow.
so good.
Amazing. Okay. Now we're getting up on day 8. This is it. The final day.
This is the day you want to
ReBelle.
know what the
Yeah.
hell happened,
I
right?
think we've all been waiting for the day. So this day, 241 points available.
The whole day of the rally.
The final day of the rally. At this point, you're going into that final day in, I think, 9th or 10th place, somewhere in
So-
there.
So let me explain one thing before we get very far.
Yeah.
That is that the night before at the final
you ate
green
a ton of Mexican
checkpoint.
food. And no. Okay.
No, at the final green checkpoint, they gave us our coordinates for the next day.
Okay. Yeah.
And the first 8 checkpoints had nothing on them. There was no coordinate, no
Okay.
heading or distance. There
Okay.
was nothing. And they said, when we click our opening checkpoint the next morning,
Yeah.
we would be given more information.
Okay.
So when you clicked to start your day,
Yes.
they handed you a second piece of paper, and
Okay.
it had a distance and bearing
Yes.
for the first 7 out of the first 8 checkpoints.
Right.
Cool.
Just
Great.
for those
cool.
who are looking
Cool,
at
cool,
the score
cool.
sheet, no scores recorded for those first
Well,
8.
let me
Just
explain
FYI.
why. Let me
Yes,
explain
right,
why.
Okay.
So we determine, like, I plot the first 2 on there, and I'm like, all we need to do is find these 2. And then the next one is a heading and distance, and we dead reckon off of that one. And then we'll dead reckon off of the next one. And I'm like, that's going to be great. Except that we go down there and we click on, after hunting around for a little bit, we click on what we think is checkpoint 2, which
Yes.
is supposed to be a blue pole,
That's right.
except it was 6, which
But we
was
didn't realize
on
it.
the identical heading and distance
Just
as
distance.
or different distance, but the same heading.
Oh,
But because we hadn't
you got
plotted
an
them all,
E for early on 6.
Yeah, but we didn't know that.
But we
at
didn't
the
know that.
time. We thought we were at 2,
2.
which is closer
because it was on our
to the
heading.
dunes. This is important.
It was on our heading, and it was closer to the dunes than 2 was.
Closer to the big dunes.
And so we take our heading and distance to the next one, and we start dead reckoning from the wrong place.
And so we should be from checkpoint 2, we should be going south and then
Yeah.
hook it in eastward from this, like,
Right.
like we're
we
going to go
have
down and
go
hook it
4.2
Yeah.
kilometers.
far.
That's a pretty far way.
Yeah.
Big ass
And it's hard to
dunes.
measure.
It's a
hard to
lot
measure.
farther if you're already 1.5 kilometers closer to the dunes than you thought you were.
Right.
So we're hunting and hunting, and we cannot make sense of it. And another team that we'd done a practice with comes up to us at one point, and they're also stymied.
So
and
we're all looking for 3x.
we're all looking for 3.
and we're up in some pretty
We're in
tall dunes.
Yeah.
big
Is
dunes,
it
like
up
right
here?
near
Wait.
Osborne
Yeah.
Overlook.
Yeah.
And we're looking out at the biggest dunes in Glamis going, okay, well, I guess we got to go deeper.
Oh, no.
So instead of it like being starting from 6 and to the edge of the valley,
Right.
we start set along the dunes and go real deep into the
Oh,
dunes.
Jesus.
And we just keep to bigger and bigger dunes. And to be fair, this is stuff that 2 years ago, there's no way in hell we would have had the guts to drive up
Right,
into.
right.
But now we're like, I guess
Guess it's not supposed to go. Must be. So we keep going and
Yes.
going.
And we
Yes.
get to a point where
Like,
now
well, I
we've
don't think we
gone
can go
over
back.
the biggest dunes in Glamis,
Right.
and we're not going to be able to get back.
Because
to
now
the
we're
other
if we
side.
try to go back, we're going up slip faces, which is
Sure,
not really
right.
possible.
Yeah.
Oh,
And so we're like,
we start to realize, like, I
We're
don't
not getting
think
this
it's here.
checkpoint.
We're not getting this checkpoint.
Something's
Now
gone
we
wrong,
just
yeah.
need
Yeah.
to get out.
yeah, we're burning time. We need to get out of
Anybody
here.
who is not for anybody who is familiar with Glams, put it this way. We drove from halfway between Osborne and Gecko over the dunes and came out at Oldsmobile Hill. Okay, there's going to be a couple of rebels listening to this that are going to go,
Like, we crossed the dunes, which we actually didn't know was possible.
in a stock.
So we crossed
4x4.
from one side, the wash side, which is
insane.
We feel like we internally we've won. We've got extra credit once. It's a crazy,
Especially considering our next big endeavor is Dakar Classic. To have done that was actually like, okay,
This is just
I
good
know
training.
we didn't get
good
any
training.
points today,
That's right. Yeah.
but we just did the most badass thing in the entire world. So we actually didn't feel as terrible about it as you
And
would think.
fortunately, finally, we got out to where we actually could see this valley on the other side, and we're looking across it, and I'm like, that's the bush from yesterday. There's a bush up on this hill, and it's right next to Oldsmobile Hill, and we
looks
had a
just like a
checkpoint there the other day, and we were like, we reckon that we were just here yesterday. We know how to get out of this valley once we get into this valley.
We're like,
off of this dune.
Look at the valley. Jenna, lead the way.
Yeah.
We've got the Jeep with us. They've stayed with us the whole time.
That poor Jeep. Yeah.
They were
no,
great.
no, they were
great.
actually really great.
Yeah.
And what happened?
We just crossed, all of the dunes, the big dunes. We didn't get stuck. We didn't fall off a cliff. We were fine. And so we're on the home stretch. We're just going down into this valley, and there's this one funny little horizontal hump, an oversized speed bump, let's say.
Yeah.
A car height speed. and so all right. And just completely high center the car. We're close to the bottom. And so we dig it out, Max tracks it, and we get ourselves backwards. And I'm like, all right, we're good. Right on top of the stupid hump again. No. So we had to dig out twice. And then the third time we just gave it some air. Got ourselves over that thing. But that was the only time we had to dig.
So when you're looking at the scorecard and you're like, what the hell happened? They didn't score a single point
That's right.
between those two green checkpoints.
Yeah.
That's correct.
We did that.
Right. That's
And you know what? The kicker. We went back. We were like, well, we'll at least try to salvage this and go get 6. So we went back to the road. We went back down. We went to go find 6.
Yes.
We got to the blue pole, and we were like, that's the one from this morning.
Oh, no.
At which point, we were like, I think we clicked on 6 this morning and not 2.
Over
Which
did.
means if we clicked on 6 in the morning,
Yes.
we couldn't go get the other ones.
Anyways, none of them would have
Just
counted.
wasted 3.5 hours in the dunes.
Yeah.
26 possible points there, which is what most of the teams scored. But you know what? I don't think they had as much fun.
Yeah, that is true.
Yeah.
And you know what? Honestly, I'm not sad about it.
It's fine. It's the game. This is a
This is
game,
the game.
and we just did not play the cards
This was
well
a game.
that day.
And then, so if this rally taught us anything, it's that we kind of need a fire under our ass for now. Because the rest of the day,
Great. Yeah,
the
fantastic.
rest of the
Yeah,
day,
nailing
but you
it.
don't understand. So we had an enduro, about 10 kilometers outside of Glams, and then we started another pavement transit.
Yeah.
And the pavement transit we knew was going to be long. And you get off the pavement transit, go get a green checkpoint 8 about 2 kilometers off the road. And then you come back to pavement and you're going down pavement 11 kilometers. And the entire 11 kilometers, I'm game playing this for Jenna. I'm like, well, we can split off and we can do the extra. There's way more points available. There's 46 points available over here. There's 25 points available if we do the regular route. But if we start timing out, we get nothing. So then it will be for nothing. And maybe we should go do the regular route because then at least
a
there's
safer bet.
25 points and we can salvage what we can out of this day. But if we don't time out, then there's way more points. So we decide to go do the X route. And as we're turning off, going to the left to do the X route, I'm like, Jenna, this might be the ballsiest thing we've done this whole rally, but we're going to do it. And we spent the whole afternoon literally counting down. Okay, 4 minutes till this checkpoint closes.
Yeah, it was and it was the rockiest, shittiest trail you've ever seen. Thank God that car truck has skid plates because there were so many chunky,
Just
horrible
banging
rocks.
through this trail. And
Sorry, Ralph.
But I'm so laser focused on the map. I'm counting every hundredth of, it was insane. And we did one of those days where
Yeah,
we
it was
just
just
rolled
bam,
up on a
bam,
flat.
bam.
We
Yep.
checked our measurement and we went click.
Yeah.
Full points. Boom.
At one point, we did pause at this little flat thing. We're like, we think this is it, but there's a road up ahead. We should measure back from it. And like, while Liza was measuring stuff, I'm like, I'm going to pee real fast. And I peed behind the car. And then we went up to the road and we came back to the same spot. And I was like, it's right where I peed.
Shocker. And it was like 7 meters off. It was basically where she
I'm going to mark this territory.
Yeah. Sometimes
well done.
Nina and Carolyn do that on purpose once they know. Yeah.
Interesting.
And so anyways, so the whole day was that. It was rolling up, clicking on a checkpoint and going, right?
Well, I'll
And,
tell you this, that afternoon, because we keep track of this kind of thing, was the difference between finishing in 11th or finishing in 15th place.
Nice.
So absolutely worth the effort in the afternoon because it was so tight in that area. Basically from 7th place through 15th place, the spread is nothing, right?
Oh,
It's
I
tens
mean,
of points.
there's 4 points between us and the next
That's
team.
right.
The team
Yeah.
lowest is actually tied with us,
Yes,
but
they
we
are, yeah.
beat them in the way
Maybe
that
the
the
Enduro or
tiebreaker
something.
rules work about
Yeah.
Enduro.
And if when we
Yeah.
sat on that blue pole that second time, if
Yeah.
we had re-clicked, we would have actually gotten the points for it, which we for some reason didn't think of doing at the time.
Oh, no.
There was all sorts of little, honestly, where the difference between 11th and actually maybe a lot higher.
Yeah.
But it's like little things that
Yeah,
maybe
sure.
you don't think of in the moment, and hindsight is
You're just like,
2020,
"Ow,
and you're like,
dumb.
we do that.
Well, I'll say this, the top possible sort of area you could have placed in, even getting all of those extra things here and there, 7th was about the best that a non-Ford racing team could hope to do this year. So you guys are right in there. I mean, certainly, everybody left points on the table. There's just no way not to.
That's
It's a
the game.
That's
know?
the whole
Yeah.
point of
Yeah.
it's about making choices and managing your time and being
Consistency
strategic.
and not making too many mistakes in a day, but everybody's going to make them, right?
Sidebar, last night at the gala, they sang a song and they wrote a little funny line about every single team, and we were the consistent team.
Is that what they were?
They called us the consistent team. We just we're consistent all week
100%.
long.
Yeah, I agree.
And that was the theme of our rally, was like, we hung our head down.
Consistently would make an error and then just shake all the rest of the day to make up for it.
But it was overall, we crossed that finish line last year, having made a lot of blunders on day 7 and 8, and no, on day 8, just day 7,
I had a couple of days, but whatever. We felt bad
last
end
year
the rally
about-
on a high note. We
Yeah.
ended the rally on this. We timed out of the finish line last year, and it was just such a kick in the teeth at the end of this,
And
really rough
instead,
week.
this year, we were so determined not to do that.
And we were so high on adrenaline rolling in there. So that afternoon,
We even prior to the finish line, we were like, here, eat some sugar. That adrenaline crash is coming. But we came across the finish line knowing that although we made mistakes early in the day, we left it all out on that last 4 hours. Like, we did not hold anything back. And Ralph and Kathleen and all of these people were there. It was the first time they've ever opened the finish line to friends and family.
Right.
And it was so emotional and it was so powerful. And it was great to see friends and people celebrating. It was really cool.
it was super cool.
You guys will have to come back in a future year, not next year, but in a future year when we do the ReBelle again. And, it was a thrilling way to end the rally, knowing that we didn't hold anything back.
We feel great about where we placed. Of course, there's always what if we did this and we could have done that? But you know what?
Yeah.
We feel great. The competition, especially within the top 15, is real tight. And the way the cards, the wind blows, the whatever, shit. There's any of us within there could have been kind of
100%.
probably 8 to 15, right? All of those teams are pretty, I don't know, on the same game level, playing the same game. We're on the game. We're in it at kind of the same level. And it feels pretty cool just to feel like we're a part of that clump, I don't know. There's something that it really sunk in this year. We're like, okay, we're in this group that's really playing this game. Especially, in the kind of yeah, 8 to 12 range. Like I think any of us could have been in any of those places.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
For sure.
I'm struck because when we started this interview, you guys were like, oh, we're so exhausted. Oh, I'm not sure we can do this podcast. And your entire recounting of it has been, yeah, you guys are insane. You guys are insane. You're so excited about the whole thing, and you're so animated. Like,
well, this is it, right? Like the whole rally, you have to do it so effing exhausted. Like we are so tired right now.
Yeah.
You can't think about that. And the one day that I thought about how tired I was the day that I made so many dumb mistakes. Right? It's how you push through that fatigue that, kind of is the difference between a good day and a bad day, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And so, as we're talking about it, it's like, I don't care how tired you are. You got to push through, right? And that's what we do.
Yeah. No, you guys, absolutely fantastic job. I think every sponsor, especially Ralph and Kathleen, so proud of everything that you guys have done.
Their truck was amazing.
Yeah, and it was so cool that they were able to come to the finish, and they came to the gala with us last night, and it was just so amazing to be able to share that experience with them. And they were so supportive and so excited to be there and to be a part of it, and it was so rewarding.
Yeah, and the vehicle that Ralph has built with all of his modifications, were so thoroughly tested before we did this rally.
Yeah.
The confidence that we could have driving that car, and just being so grateful that, it had all of these things, like the approach angle and the departure angle. There were
we
so many
locker
times.
a few times. Like
we
it was
used the
great.
air locker.
Yeah.
We were just so grateful for all of the ways that he has really tested his products so well before we ever got that truck that,
We didn't talk about the fire.
Bonus,
wait, we have a bonus
material.
We have a bonus. We have a bonus story for you.
Fire material.
This is the day that we couldn't remember anything to talk about on that day, but there's a lot to talk about.
Tune in next week for the exciting... No, let's talk about the fire real quick.
So checkpoint 1. So we roll out of base camp. There's, some rocky stuff, some desert. We're all in the desert. And we end up, there's this checkpoint, and there's a couple switchbacks, and it's all a clog of people, and it's awkward, and nobody can figure out where it is. It's a black, and there's a pull out over here and a pull out over there. And you just second guess.
Cars coming up this narrow
people second
trail.
guessing and driving up and driving down and hiking up, and it was just like chaos. And so we are jockeying around, and you have to kind of get half off the trail, and there's bushes and stuff. And so we kind of get off the trail and then get back onto like a flatter dirt part. And we're sitting there for a second looking at the map, and we're like, do you smell it?
It smelled great.
Yeah, it's like
Probably those
3
old
seconds.
clothes.
3 seconds later, we were like, oh.
Doesn't smell good at all. And so I'm like, I'm just going to check on that. Sit tight. And I hop out of the car, and I look under the car, and between the
Her
skid
head
plate
disappears, and then it comes back up.
and between the skid plate and the actual car, there's about 2.5, 3 inches.
Yeah.
And there's a small piece of sagebrush in there. It just open flame. That's
Oh, no.
all open flame. And I'm like, okay, so thankfully before the rally, we have this amazing rear tailgate rack by Saltec. And we put on this quick release fire extinguisher, 5 pounds. And so I back there, Liza's sitting in the passenger seat. And she's, letting me seeing me drop, seeing me pop up, hearing me suddenly release the quick release on the fire extinguisher. And I'm on one side of the car, and then I run around to the side to blow out the other side of the car.
I think I'm going to get out of there fine now.
And I'm like, Dad, I get back under there and I shoot at it from the other way. And then,
Anyway,
it's fine.
We dealt with it. And it is important to note, we are not parked over brush at this point. We have sucked it up by driving over brush. We're parked right over a dirt
it's just
area,
gravel. We're
right?
just parked on gravel.
We're not at risk of setting the forest on fire. And so we deal with it. We make sure it's out. We get in the car. I take off my helmet, and she goes, "What are you doing?" I'm like, "I'm calling this in." So I call dispatch. And I tell them, just letting you know, we had to deploy our fire extinguisher. It's all fine. However,
It's fine.
There was
fine.
a small,
Everything's fine.
we sucked a piece of sagebrush up. It's fine now. We put the fire out, but just letting you know. And so we continue on with our day, find out later we get approached at the next green checkpoint by Chris Wu, who technical director for the ReBelle, and he wants to know sort of what happened. I guess after we left there, they sent a crew up just to make sure nothing was on fire, right?
For sure.
And they went in and just like double checked everything. And then he gave us an extra 2.5 pound fire extinguisher because now we've used ours.
Yeah.
So if we have another incident, we might not have enough to put out a fire, right?
Right.
And so anyways, and then Emily makes a big announcement about it that night and calls us out for having dealt with it correctly. And,
apparently Nick Guyver has patches or stickers of junior firefighter patches. So tell him,
Nick, if you listen to this, we're coming. We're gonna
we got to get you some of those. Well,
but it was so funny because that was like this crazy. We literally had to put out a fire, and it was like it happened at the first checkpoint of the day. We kept forgetting about it through the whole rally. Like, oh yeah, remember when we set
cars?
I like that it smelled really good for a minute. Like, just in case there were any bad spirits or anything.
Yeah.
Just,
Exactly.
Just burn some stage, man.
And then not good. And then not good enough.
Not good at all. As the oils and plastics and things start catching fire. Well, I'm glad, again, sorry about that, Ralph. It's, don't mind
we
those
did tell him.
marks.
We told him at the finish line, by the way, did they mention on the live show that we set your car on?
Briefly set your car on fire. Yeah. Well, hey, there you go. That's just yet another testament to the quality of engineering in that car. You can set it on fire briefly. Still fine. No problems.
Totally fine.
Yeah, totally fine. Yeah, well, there you have it. Well, at that, another ReBelle Rally in the books. 2025, the 10th anniversary. Incredible. And on to...
I would rather rally with than this lady right here.
Nobody I would rather talk about this rally with than that guy way over there. So,
that's sweet of you to say.
Yeah, it's like a partner swap kind of thing, but not nearly as...
I don't like it. I don't like it at all.
Just Ike and I curled up, watching the dots.
Eating chewed food, pre-chewed food.
Wearing last year's underwear, eating last year's food. With that, it's been a slice. This is like a center steer length podcast.
Yeah, sorry.
Overpowered hour.
It is overpowered. You get one bonus one per year. And that's that. Back to our regularly scheduled programming next week. But we have some ideas, as some folks have been asking for more detail around the rally. So we're working on some ways to bring you some extra content. Maybe we'll do that on Patreon. Maybe we'll do that on YouTube or something. But many more stories to be told than could possibly fit into one jumbo-sized Underpowered Hour. But until then, Liza, Jenna, congratulations.
Thank you.
Well done. And we'll be back next week to start our coverage of the Dakar.
14 months of that. Yeah.
It's just going to be Ike panicking in the corner of the workshop for 13 straight months. Yeah.
I hate you all. Let's end this thing.
Yeah.
All right. That's it for now. We'll see you next week.
All right.
Bye.
The Underpowered Hour is produced by Liza Beres, Ike Goss, and me, Steve Beres. Pavel Svardov composed and performed our theme music. Consider supporting the show on Patreon, and if you already do, thank you. Your support makes the show possible. For even more, check out our Instagram or Facebook.